To take the podium.
Thank you very much. I'm honored to be here this evening to present. I have some slides coming up here about CommonCore for you. I will tell you there are some good ideas behind CommonCore, and I will cover those for you as a fair and balanced presentation. Go ahead. So I've been talking about education issues in Michigan and highlighted CommonCore since last fall when I ran for the State Board of Education. Fortunately, I didn't win. A friend of mine said even Kwame Kilpatrick didn't get an 8-year sentence. It's an 8-year term. But those of you who do board work might understand that when you are on a board, there's a certain level of courtesy you have to give deference to a board and being part of a board versus speaking out with your own opinion. Although I, as a board member, did tell my fellow board members that I do not surrender my First Amendment rights just because I am a member of the board. But, so without being on a board now, I can speak freely. So, what is CommonCore? CommonCore is a set of standards and assessments from kindergarten through 12th grade for defining what children should know and be able to do for math and English language arts for use by all states and developed by educational experts. Next slide. In 2002, under George Bush, the federal government passed No Child Left Behind. This is where I like to start. It mandated that every state develop standards and assessments for their students. Some states did a better job than others, but the point is national student achievement did not improve. Next slide. The words here are a little hard to read, so I want you to really concentrate on the color scheme that I'm going to explain. The column close this way are the analysis of countries around the world, high-performing countries, and student achievement. There are several different kinds of tests given. You might have heard of TIMSS, this is PISA, but they've been used for years to help measure student achievement around the world of 8th graders to give you a fair benchmark. You can see that there's a whole bunch of countries that I've categorized as green. They are statistically high-achieving countries. There's not a substantial difference between them. Those that are in blue are statistically average. And those in red are statistically below average. So the United States is not 34th out of 35 high-performing countries. We are 34th and among the lower student achievement countries. So where is Michigan? Well, again, I color-coded. You have 3 states that are in green in the United States. Number 1 is Massachusetts. Massachusetts actually competes on these international exams as if it were its own country. And they are statistically comparative to the other high-achieving countries in the world. The blue are average, and the red, again, are statistically below average, and Michigan is 40th. And I put this chart together because I think it does show the dramatic issue in terms of student achievement in Michigan. It's not acceptable. It's not where we want it to be. We have 30% of our students from 3rd grade to high school not reading at grade level, and 70% don't do math at grade level. Those are terrible statistics, terrible outcomes. And again, we're worse than a lot of our neighboring states. Next slide, please. So then, in 2009, under this context, the CommonCore initiative was started, the National Governors Association and the State School Chiefs, as was mentioned, in partnership with Bill Gates and the Gates Foundation, which provided a lot of the funding, authorized the development of standards for English language arts, ELA, and math. These names are the people who went into a conference room and wrote these standards. 5 people: David Coleman, Susan Pimentel, Jason Zimba, Phil Darrow, and William McCullough. They then established a committee, a series of committees, who would provide review to the work that they had done. This committee process had no agendas, no minutes. The committees mostly provided individual input to the writers, not as a group, so you didn't have the dynamic process of a committee having an active debate. And the more credible experts who participated refused to approve. 2 of them that are well-known, James Milgram, he refused to sign off on the math standards, and Sandra Stotsky, she refused to sign off on the ELA standards. Sandra Stotsky is from Massachusetts. She was on the Department of Education in the late 90s and was one of the key members that architected the Massachusetts school system that has these incredible student achievement results. She was invited to be on the validation committee just because of her expertise and knowledge. And when she couldn't get in touch with the other members of the ELA, she started talking to James Milgram, and they shared their same concerns. They couldn't get information. They didn't get feedback so that they knew what other people were saying. They didn't know what anybody was saying was included to make changes to the standards. So when they came out, they both refused to sign off on them as saying that they were not credible standards. Next slide. So what were the objectives of CommonCore? Reduce duplicate spending, develop consistent expectations, expand data about students, make it easier for states to compare outcomes, and make it easier for military transfers. Can anybody tell me what's missing? Like, improve student achievement. It wasn't on the list. In 2012, the next slide please, the Brown Center Report on American Education said, despite all the money and effort, they foresee no impact on student achievement.